A better Nigeria, is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria? Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only reason for being an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Red.
Good evening and welcome to Answers with Dr. Reggie, where critical life issues are always clarified. My name is Agnes and I am in the studio with my co-anchors, Joseph and Lois.
Hi Agnes.
Good evening. Alright, and of course Dr. Reggie, the Chief Resource Person of the Center for Transformational Leadership, CTL. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Agnes. Hi guys.
Name, sir.
Name.
Right. So last week we talked about the negative effects of religion on our society. So if you missed out on that episode, please check out our website at answerswithdrredu.org. Please take note at answerswithdrredu.org. Alright, so today we'll be talking about civic responsibility. Yes. And this can simply be defined as the responsibilities of a citizen to his or her country, right? And are we ready, guys?
Yeah, ready.
Okay, all right. So last week I was looking at the second line of our national anthem, and there was this part that says, "To serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith." When I saw that part, I was like, okay, wow, to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. So I really want you to comment on that. So what does it really mean in reality in Nigeria to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith?
Wow. For you to ask that question, first of all, basically drives home the point. It paints the reality that, as a society, we've not done enough in terms of orientation. Because in other climes, the national anthem, national pledge, and other national values are basic primary issues of education. I was sharing with some people of recent that I went to a high school in the US and I discovered that their most equipped laboratories, not their science laboratories, they are national history laboratory. That's the one that's most equipped. Yeah. The history of America. So, there should be times when, because I'm not the one that wrote the national anthem, but I'll do my best, because the whole mind behind every line of the national anthem should have been taught. Parents should make out time to talk to their kids about it. You see, the very name of this, maybe your radio station, is actually out of that. Patrice Radio. The word patrice is actually from the word patriot. So we need to build a kind of a patriotic attitude. So when you say, first of all, to serve, you can't serve. I'm going to take that line, bit by piece by piece. The very foundation there is to serve. You can't serve if you don't have a sense of patriotism. And you can only have a sense of patriotism because the word patriot, again, is where you get the word patriarch, which means a father or an ancestor. Right? So, and father is someone who is your source, where you come from. So you can't serve something that you don't have a sense of connection with. And maybe I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here, trying to let the society know that this is what we should have done. Now, first of all, do we have a sense that Nigeria is our fatherland? We will not have that sense until we are taught. until we have a deliberate, intentional orientation to making that happen. And this program, we're just sort of contributing our quota in a very humble way, in a very little way. So whosoever is listening to me there, you have to understand that you can't serve another country because this is the only country you have. So do we see it as our fatherland before we begin to talk about strength and what again? And love, strength, and faith. So the key word there is service to your fatherland, is because you've already believed that. And you see, you don't get a father, you don't relate with your father only based on what he can give you, not what you receive from him, but the fact that he gave you life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what no other person can give. So these are the things that we're kind of missing, that we've taken for granted. I heard that there's something that's been introduced into primary schools about civic education. And, you know, it shouldn't be. We're introducing that in the 21st century, where the world has become a global village, where now I don't want to approach this from a problem kind of standpoint, but let me stay with your question. That what exactly does it mean? You know, it basically means that, first of all, you recognize that this is your fatherland. And that's the truth. Yeah. That's the truth. Even if I have the passport of other countries, I have my country of base, I have my country of birth. Even if I wasn't born here, that this is where my parents come from, this is where my ancestors, that's my fatherland. Yeah. So it starts from, first of all, recognizing it as my fatherland, before I can serve with love, with strength, and with faith. You see, you don't love. I mean, when you serve with love, you are not serving with, to getting something in return. Like the former, it's just so, it can be very depressing that I have to always quote other nations. The most iconic statement that came out of an American president: don't think of what America would do for you. Think of what you can do for. No, those statements are made based on the fact that this is your fatherland. You know. So love is when you serve without expecting anything in return. You know. And with the whole of your strength, that means you give your best at every point in time. You reserve your best for your fatherland, right? And that's the mind that goes into, you want to work in the civil service, you want to work in the private sector, you want to work in the military, you want to anywhere. You want to give at every point in time. You are playing football. You are very proud to wear the national colors. And then in faith basically talks about, not talking about any kind of church or any kind of mosque. It's basically talking about, something you do faithfully. Something you do with best of intention. Something that paints reality to you. Right? So that's basically what it means. It's a line that from the cradle, kids should be taught.
Yeah.
They should have a sense of Nigerianness, that this is our fatherland. So that line is critical, and it's so interesting that it came out for you, and millennials out there need to understand that. Don't ever think of a country that somebody else will make happen for you. You need to think of a country that you can make happen, contributing your own quota, just as we are doing on this program.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Based on your experience and interactions with people, both in business and private sector, I mean, the civil service and the civil society also, would you say that they love this country?
There is no way, if you're going to love this country, it has to be a personal choice. The environment that is created makes you hate the country. Because those who benefit from this country, I remember, there was a time we had a particular segment, on this program where, we asked people to talk about their patriotic movement. Those are kind of, simple ways of sensitizing people to really check their hearts whether they really have a sense of bonding, to the country. And the reason we did that then was to let people know that you won't love is not based on benefit. Love is based on sacrifice. Yeah, it's based on sacrifice. So people don't love this country because they've not benefited anything. Now, when you benefit from the country, it only helps what's already there. I remember I gave my own, patriotic movement then, and I said it was a time when my first daughter was about, I think she was about 5, 6, and she had a fractured arm. she was playing with a cousin and then, played, and then we took her to Luth in Lagos. And the nurses were amazing. They took good care of her. And by the time I said, okay, how much? They said, it's free. They said, it's free. I felt so, so proud that, wow, this is the first time I'm getting anything free from my country. I've had to pay for everything. Right? Even pay for something that I don't get in return. So I can't say that I've met people who really love this country, but I can say, I can say that for myself, that I have a huge passion for this country. And there are many others like that. But you see, those who love this country are not noising it enough. Yeah. We're not making noise about our love for the country enough. Maybe there's going to be another section of this program when we talk about tribes and all those kind of things. But, we've mentioned that in bits and pieces during this episode. But it's tough loving this country. That's the truth. It is tough loving this country. So it has to be much more than, what you receive. You have to love this country because you understand that you are supposed to. That is your civic responsibility, that you are supposed to love the country. You are supposed to serve the country. And the way the country can be positioned in such a way that you begin to benefit is when you serve. And when you serve, the results might take a long time before it manifests. Because the remnants of what we enjoyed while growing up in this country, they are products of those who have earlier, loved the country and they've served selflessly. Yeah. So, but now those things are gone. Those things are gone because we're in the time when a governor wants to be applauded for paying salaries. So that's how low. And when we talk about the problems of this country, what I'm doing in my, in my own little way is that when I talk about the problems of this country, I went to speak somewhere, last week, and one lady walked up to me and said, you didn't even mention anything about the country. It's very unlike you. Yes, I said, I'm learning not to complain. I want to work on the solution. I don't want to, put myself in the position where I'm always whining. So it's good to understand that you don't have to love your country because of what you receive. It's not just a right. It's not just it's a duty for you to be patriotic. And it's not based on, and is that patriotism that should influence advocacy for, from civil society groups. It's the same patriotism that will make me work well in the private sector, public sector, anywhere. So it's a sense of duty. It's that same thing that will make me pay tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The government doesn't have to come knocking on the door.
Yeah. Nobody loves to pay tax anywhere in the world. No human being loves to pay tax. Yeah. The saddest day in America is the day of tax returns. People don't smile on that. Yeah.
Okay, let's move over to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. This one also got me thinking. Mm-hmm. Now, a part of the second stanza of the national anthem, right? So this one goes, "O God of creation, guide our noble course, guide our leaders right, help our youth the truth to know." Mm. Yeah, that's the part. Now I'm curious. Help our youth the truth to know. Mm. What truth?
Yeah, it's something, again, it takes me back to Agnes sitting there today in 2019 asking. I don't know when this, the national anthem was changed, when? I think I was in, I think that was 1978, 77, 79, between that time. That was when we changed from Nigeria we hailed it, to Arise, O Compatriot. So, for those long years, there's been no setting where you sat and somebody, sort of clarified what exactly it means, right? Now, what's truth? Truth is reality, right? Truth basically means reality, the way things ought to be. That's truth. The truth is that Agnes is female, right? The truth is that we're in this studio today. That's the truth. So, many times, people don't live in reality. People either live in the midst of their pain, of their past, or they live, in the ideal. But you can't do anything about your past. If you live in the future, you can only get frustrated. Your past will depress you or excite you, but it's gone. Mm-hmm. Right? It's gone. So, truth is reality. let our youth, appreciate where they are, how they got there on the way to where they are going. That's truth. But many times, the reason you have a lot of seminars here and there on identity, on all these kind of things, how to deal with the past, how to deal with depression, is because people don't live in truth. You don't accept the reality of your life. And it's so good that the reason that line is saying that help our youth, why didn't it say help our elders? Right? Why is it not saying help our unborn children to know? Because the very core of society are those who can still serve in love, with strength and faith. Right? So the very core of any society that doesn't focus, so that particular line tells you how critical the people we always address on this program are. Yeah. How critical. He didn't say help our elders. He didn't say help our unborn children. He didn't say help our children, but the youth. Because the most valuable asset of any society is the youth population. And the world has, the world has gotten younger. Population of the world now, 65%, even close to 70%, are youth. Yeah. They are. So if the youth will know the truth, society has future. But what we see today is that we when the truth don't know, who is the one that's been asked to help? Aha. Those should be the elders. But if the elders never lived in truth, because the elders should be kind of sharing their own experience as you. One thing that I always believe those who are around me who are young can hear from me is that I happen to be positioned by providence at a time in the history of this nation where things worked. Yeah. I saw a Nigeria at once that worked. I was in the university from 1982 to 1985. Right? I was in primary school from 1969 to 73, thereabout. Things worked. Right? I knew when things worked. I knew when people just trekked to school. Right? I knew when, books were given free. When I was in the university, you need 150 kobo to eat good meal for a day. One meal is 50 kobo. When I did my youth service, my allowance was 250 naira. Right? At that time, dollar was weaker than the naira. So there was a time when things worked. And I can tell people that so that they can hope. Right? That's how I was with a younger friend of mine in England. I was telling him, don't be excited about all this. There was a time in Lagos we have all these buses with numbers. And I was telling him he couldn't believe it. We have buses with routes, with numbers and everything. So you discover that we have to know that true, we have a problem. True, but that's not the only truth. Truth is, problem can be surmounted. That this problem is not in the foundation of this country. They came, and they can go. If we will change our orientation. That was when we were discussing about restructuring in this program. And we said, what needs to be restructured first is our minds. So what are we going to do in our own little way? In spite of the toxic environment. Right? When are you going to be taking? Because when you really know truth, you begin to take responsibility for where you are. If the youth have done their bit, we won't be where we are. But everybody had kind of hands off, and we're looking at going to Canada. Yeah, there's a Canada project everywhere. But I keep telling people it's my responsibility to tell you, if you go to Canada, you will never be accepted. You will always be a stranger. And no human loves being a stranger. So that truth is reality. And it's the youth that that actually needs it, because they're the ones that can really shape things. Hope I made sense. Right?
Yes, you did. Yeah.
So when you were speaking, I just discovered that there was a lot of anger and grief that have been inside my heart, just welling out, and we have a responsibility as youth.
Yeah.
My question is, how can we connect? What is the process of connecting so that we can be patriotic? Because a lot of youth, a lot of young people have disconnected. They are very nonchalant about things that go on in
In the country.
the country.
Yeah.
Personally, I grew up hearing, that there was a good Nigeria, and then I can remember in one of the episodes you're talking about if you say good, it simply means that there is better.
Yeah.
But we're just basking in the glory of the good, and we don't even know how to get to better.
There's nothing as good as education and orientation and things like that. You can only begin if you know how you got to where you are. Let me tell every young person listening to me out there that the reason you are disconnected from the country is because there is a whole system built deliberately, by those who have been opportuned to hold positions of responsibility in the country, right, to make you guys disconnected so that they can continue to do the evil things that they are doing. It is not a happenstance. The reason the university system was destroyed is so that universities won't churn out people who can ask intelligent questions, people who can stand up and say, we want to question why things are not. So, they just make it, like it's a well-structured plan that's playing out. So, but the moment you know that, that's the beginning of change. That I am like this, I don't call them leaders, I call them opportunists who are in politics and all these guys. They like it when you say you want to go to Canada because you won't question about how they govern here.
You're not around.
The moment there is nowhere to go to, we have our backs to the wall. The smelly stuff will hit the roof. The rubber will hit the road. They don't want us to get there. And the youths out there need to understand it is an array, like fella will call it RNG. That you guys focus on running away so that you can leave us here to continue to maintain the status quo. But I come with a counter opinion. If you live 30, 40, 50 years in I had a guy telling me this week the horrible story of a Nigerian that was deported, from London. They were on the same flight, that the guy was chained. He was chained. He was shouting in the plane and all those kind of things. You see, that happens almost every day. And this guy, oh my goodness, if I go into the story, it's very, very depressing. This is a guy whose kids were born there. The wife is still there. I don't know the whole story, for him to be chained. 5 British policemen escorted him to Nigeria. Right? He was shouting and he said when they were transiting in Paris, that was when the thing hit him. The police gave him a phone. You see, these stories need to be heard so that the young ones out there, they will really know that the responsibility of making things work here is ours and not to run away. See, this guy was given the phone to call the family and he was speaking with the children. He was asking them, I hope you went for your game today. How about mom? They say it's in the room. Is she still crying? Tell her I'll soon be back. That guy was just being yanked off from the family. I don't know. The guy said he's been in the UK for about 15, 16, maybe 17 years. Or maybe 27 even. Right? Now, you live in that place, maybe without documentation. Maybe, I don't know whether, flouted the law or whatever. But if that guy is in Nigeria, right? Because by the time he said the guy landed in Lagos and he looked at me and said, thanks, sir. We're home now. So you can't, running away can't be your next agenda. I'm not saying you're going to go there and find yourself in trouble or whatever, but running away won't develop this country. That's running away from the problem. I've said it many times here that I even tell my African American friends that if Africa does not develop, you as an African American or African British, you will never be respected anywhere you are. As long as you carry this kind of skin, you will never be respected. So, you see, I want the youths out there to pick up a sense of responsibility. That this country won't be built by any other person. We can't beg to be colonized again. Although some say that they don't know what it means to be colonized. Because we are even still colonized. So, yeah. But, how do you start? Know that the reason you want to run away, somebody structured it. And it's not for your benefit. It's not for your benefit. Somebody arranged it that educational system is destroyed. Somebody arranged it that you have to cut corners before you can make it. Somebody arranged it that you can't just apply for a passport and you get it. Somebody arranged that the police is this decimated. Somebody arranged that the army will just launch, a particular kind of campaign to say they want to be asking for ID cards, as if we're in a state of emergency.
Yeah.
Somebody arranged that for this country to be this way. And let me tell you this, it's very important I make this point. They are so few. We are more than them. And I'm not asking for any kind of violence or whatever, but if everyone that loves this country that has been quiet, we begin to speak out. We begin to demand for that which is, there's something I'm waiting for in this city. The day the road safety will stop me to ask me for my driver's license, right? I'm waiting for it. Because there's a reason to ask for a driver's license. They need to know if I have a driver's license or not. They have ways of knowing. They don't have to ask me.
Maybe that's why they will stop.
Maybe that's why I'm waiting for them to stop me. And I'm talking to everybody out there. If you drive, if any road safety guy stop you to ask for your driver's license, ask them, why are they asking you? Who issued it? How come you don't know that I have what you issued me? You see, we're not asking the right questions here. That's the truth that you need to know. Right? I'm waiting for them to stop me. And I'm going to tell them, you guys, I'm not in a hurry. So we're going to have a long discussion here.
Okay, I think it's getting heated over here in the studio. So let's take a musical break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Answers with Dr. Raju, and we've been talking about civic responsibility. And one thing that was hitting me was patriotism is not, it's not a request, it's a duty. Yes, it's a duty. So I want you to clarify something.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that, because in this day and age, we have young people who are very, very, very passive about what goes on in the country. In fact, patriotism is ruled out of the virtues of the millennial. So I want us to, look at the consequences of this. And millennials are listening. So what does it say for us that we are passive, we are not concerned, we don't want to be bothered, we can't be bothered about what's going on in our country?
It will never work. Because for me, my definition of being a millennial is that you see yourself as maybe like a change maker, somebody who is a contrarian, somebody who is very innovative. Right, that's my own definition. But if you go to what psychologists say about millennials, they say they are lazy, they want independence, they want other kind of things. It's okay. That's for an observer. But I'm looking at what I see beyond the surface in millennials. They want to be heard, right? They want to be heard. But what I want them to add to that equation is that sense of responsibility. Them taking responsibility for where they are, and know that if I don't do it, it won't be done. Right? If I don't do it, and the belief that I can make a difference. Where that happens is because we are all product of our environment. And if we don't rise up and shape the environment, we'll continue to be victims of it, and then we begin to look for alternatives where we're going to become second-class citizens. So that disconnect is like what Lois just asked. That disconnect is what we need to address. Right? Is what we need to address. Truth is I'm a Nigerian. And nothing is going to change that. Nothing is going to change that. I am a Nigerian. And I tell Nigerians that live abroad, even born abroad, I said, better tell yourself before you are told. Because it's going to depress you. The day they tell you don't belong here, it's going to depress you, even if you speak like them. It's happening now to Jamaica, people from the Caribbean islands. I've forgotten, the Windrush generation, those who actually were brought from the Caribbean, they built Europe, they built England. Many of them had lived there for 4, 5, 6 generations. They are shipping many of them back home, where they don't even have any kind of connection. So there's something that the millennials need to learn. That disconnect is not right, because many of them see it as civilization. Many of them see that I don't speak my dialect and they feel proud about it. I've given you that instance before. I was inside the train and I saw Ghanaians and Nigerians with their family. You know, I'm very observant. I like observing things. They were all speaking English with British accent. They're speaking British.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Chinese. They're all speaking their dialects. These Chinese were born there. I saw the Indians. They were speaking their dialect. Only the Africans there were speaking English. And they are proud that they are even speaking it with a British accent. You see, these are things that we need to change. My daughter has been living in the UK for about 2-3 years. You know why she's visiting home right now? She says she misses fisherman soup.
Okay, what's that?
Fisherman soup is a delicacy here.
Okay.
There's hunter soup, there's fisherman. You know, if you guys don't live, you eat acha here. And all this kind of thing. No, so the point I'm trying to make is that when you leave this place, if this is where you grew up, you will know that when you go somewhere else, there's something that draws you back here.
Yeah.
And it's so good to make this place habitable. Right? So millennials, you are making a mistake. It is not civilization that you are not connected to your country. It's not. That doesn't make you it's not cool at all. Maybe I should use your language, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not cool at all. We need to make this place a place that we can be proud of. We only write the stories of Nigerians abroad who are making good grades. How about those who are here and making good grades? How about that? You know? So it's not, they still see it right that they are disconnected. They believe it is acceptable. But if they must know the truth, it is not acceptable that you are in this country and you are, because that's what our leaders do. The reason they won't be concerned about the economy of this country is because their resources are not here. Right? Yeah. Their resources are in Switzerland. Right? Somebody played to the gallery, took the kid to a public school. Who are you fooling? When he's going to remove him from there, nobody will know. Yeah. You see, in this same country, when I was in Unilag, Babangida's son was in Unilag staff school. It was normal. He was in the staff school. It was when things were getting heated up and security, they could no longer, and that's okay. Because the president's son need to be protected anywhere. That's when they took him. Everybody knew the guy was there. Everybody knew that. So there was a time in this country where public school, my generation, there was no private school in my generation. Private schools came out because of the failure of public school. So if you now have to sew one oversized, shorts for your son, and the guy is looking like somebody, and then you take him to school and you put it on social media, something is wrong. The millennials should say, who are you? Who are you fooling? Millennials are people who can question. When we spoke about religion makes you to just accept things the way they are. But that's not the way human life is designed. Yeah. Ask why. Always ask why. Why should it be so? Even God wants to be questioned. Let me understand what they are doing, God, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's so, we need to know that to be disconnected is not right. It's not cool at all. Right?
Okay, sir. As regarding disconnection now, yeah. When most young people leave Nigeria, what they tell you is that they are looking for greener pastures. And they can be right in a way that those people are using bait to attract them. They make it easy and then they go for the brightest. Those who are supposed to stay back, like I've heard you say several times that it is those who are usually the dummies in class end up being teachers.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so they leave those, they do their best to attract people there, especially the bright ones. And then the ones that are left behind are just passive, and those ones work hard and they are building someone else's place. Yeah. And then you also say that that the reason why a lot of people there's poverty is greed and self-centeredness. Yeah. In one of the episodes or somewhere. Yeah. Yeah. Now there's something about this generation, sir, we are so self-centered.
Absolutely.
We have these connections with social media.
That's
and
our
then,
friend.
Yes, and then a lot of people are disconnected from reality, like you said. And we live. We had an argument today in the office before work started when we came in the morning about social media, how it disconnected people. Others were like, no, there's a connection. Now, what I want us to help us get to is, how do young people now, because when we talk about civic responsibility, it's about patriotism, and patriotism is about service, which is selfless. How should young people begin to see this country differently? And then, not only like for me, if I know this, get Agnes to know, get Lois to know, and then we, like you said, our voices, when we speak in silos, nobody hears us. But when our voice is one,
yeah.
So how will you help us?
I mean, we don't have to look far. When the Arab Spring started, it was driven by social media. I've given a start on this program before, that when they did a kind of, like a research, that when Indians, Chinese, Americans go on the internet, the traffic is to Google. When Nigerians, Ghanaians, Africans go there, is Facebook and Instagram. What do you think people do on Google? Research. What are they doing on social media?
Chat. Reading
And
news feeds.
And I've said this before, the most excited cultures in the world are the poorest. The ones who are very reflective, right? They are the richest. I saw an advert today on DSTV. It was actually the advert of the DSTV app. It is so shameless. Very shameless. By the time you get to the middle of that commercial, you will actually forget what they were trying to introduce to you. What you focus on is the dance. Very beautiful, sonorous music to just introduce the DSTV app. It's not even good for communication, because you just lose the message. You focus on the dance. You see, our millennials here are too excited over nothing. It was social media, it was WhatsApp that actually, even in Zimbabwe, it was WhatsApp that actually that triggered the end of Mugabe. WhatsApp. What do we post here? Don't laugh alone.
Yeah, share this.
Share this.
Say amen.
Or you send one devotional.
Yeah.
I delete all those things without thinking. Send me a devotional, send prayer, send one joke. I don't mind jokes, but I even want jokes that can make me think.
Yeah.
For us here, we are just excited over nothing. And it's like it's making us kind of numb to our real problem. We are trying to help our youth to know the truth. You know what? So we can use social media, but right here, social media is using us. Is using us. So we just need to, there's something I've noticed here. The three of you are asking me the same question in just three different ways. And that's where really your heart is. How can we leverage on the opportunities in our environment? And there's a reality that we have that had to dawn on us. What drives this age is creativity, is innovation, right? In many other places, and I don't know the actual figures. Those who are actually becoming millionaires and billionaires now, they are below 30. Is that happening in Africa? I don't think so. It's not happening here. It is not happening here. So there is a level of anger that I want African millennials to begin to experience. Right? There's a level of anger. There's a level of dissatisfaction. Because you see, transformation begins with a dissatisfaction with the way things are. You need to, whatever you can accept and you are trying to cut corners, you will never change it. You must be able to walk through it. I mean, news, Buhari won in the Supreme Court. What were you expecting? What were you expecting?
Mm-hmm.
You see, we just love all these rumors and it creates this bubble for us that we're just there. How can I help? I will do my best to make you guys angry. Right? You need to be dissatisfied. I'm not saying go pick up arms, go do all these kind of things. But first of all, let the anger start with yourself. I should be angry with myself enough that because you can't transform anything unless you yourself, you have been primarily transformed. You can only reproduce yourself. But right now we're allowing the environment to just determine who we are. We're accepting everything for the way it is. Who can solve the problem of sex for grade? The victims.
Yeah.
Because those who want sex for grade are few in number.
Sure.
There are people there who will not. So why don't we speak up? Right? If I see a company of, maybe we have a 21st century version of ABBA Women Riot on campus. Right? When all the girls on campus will rise up, right? And say, no, this must change on this campus. We can read. Right? We don't want to use our body for grades. Right? I'm telling you. It's going to change. And you know what might happen? The lecturers who can't even teach will be weeded out. You see, so change begins from within. Right? It begins from within. How can I help you? You need to see that, maybe I'll put it in this, brief phrase. You are responsible for the way Nigeria is. If you think any other person else is responsible, you are not living in reality. You are, because you are in majority. Who voted for this government that everybody is complaining? Okay, Dot, they rigged. Who allowed it? Who did they use? Right? Who did they use to rig the election? Yeah. I don't think Buhari is anywhere or Atiku is anywhere, writing things. They used the youths. Right? If there was a riot, who's at the forefront? If people die in a riot, who are those in the majority?
The youth.
The youth. The youth. Education is bad. Who are the victims?
Youth.
The youth. So these are the kind of things that, you need to come home to you guys, right? That I'm responsible. We are responsible.
All right, sir. When you talked about the stat that when Africans go on Google,
on the internet,
they
go to Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when the vice president of Google came to Nigeria, he said the majority of Nigerians, when they go on Google, what they check then when he came
is Davido.
Is shaku shaku.
Shaku shaku, yeah.
And how to tie gele.
Yeah,
that was the majority.
Absolutely, I actually saw that stat. Yeah, that's what they searched for there.
So I just needed to.
That's what it's terrible. How to tie gele and how to dance shaku shaku.
Well, other people are.
You see, are we
nanotechnology.
even agree with how to tie gele because it's a massive industry?
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to just throw away the baby with the bathwater here. Yeah. How to tie gele is a massive industry. There are people, that's how they've economically empowered themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to dance, I've told you, the cultures that dance all the time are the poorest.
Sure.
Are the poorest. Those in the East don't dance, they meditate. They think. That's why they are so creative. The only country that benefited from the whole Y2K hoopla was India. Yeah, because they set up technical schools where they taught people how to do programming, how to repair computers, and Y2K didn't happen, but they've already, produced a massive skilled workforce.
In case it happens.
In case. And now they are even being deployed in other areas.
Yeah.
They outsource many technical issues now in Europe and America to India. What have we done? And we've gotten to a point where, let's agree, if the government won't do it for us, we will make them do it.
Yeah.
And we have the number.
Sure.
We will make them do it. They will always have people they can use for their nefarious activities, but there are also people who will say no. Very soon, right? Light will will dispel darkness. And if we're going to do this, we need to have a long-term plan. And for you, time is running out.
Yeah.
The moment you are hitting, I don't want this to depress anybody. The moment you are hitting 25, 26, 27, 28, time is running out. Before you know it, nobody will be talking about millennials again. It's post-millennial. Even the post-millennial need to be careful because time is running out. We don't know the name of the next one. Maybe generation A1 because we've gotten to Z.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll go back to A. Yeah, that's it. Time is running out.
Okay. One thing I've noticed about millennials is the fact, including myself, we like a scenario where, I don't know, we like to be part of something that we can control.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that millennials are thinking that Nigeria is out of their control. So how do we get ourselves to consciously start to work, tell ourselves, okay, no, this is something we can do this. How do we
It's a virtue to want to be in control. It's human to want to be in control. So when you lose control, you are frustrated. Right? But you don't have to react to that. You respond to, how do I take control back? Yeah. How do we get back control? And like Joseph said, is to begin to not talk in silos. Right? What I know, let me look for those who, what I'm pursuing, what is attracting my interest. Let me look for those who also are getting interested in those kind of areas, and let's begin to build the language, the word you guys use the most, network. When you talk about network, you're only networking in things that will benefit you. No nation develops when everybody is looking for what will benefit them. Right?
Yeah.
If the society is good, everybody benefits. I'm looking for a Nigeria where I don't have to own a car. Right? Where I don't have to own a car.
It's even expensive.
Yeah, but here a car is still a status symbol.
Yeah.
I heard of a guy who has over maybe like 7, 8 Rolls Royce in in his compound, and everybody kind of, wow, that's so good. That's a waste. And you don't buy Rolls Royce in the shop, you order. And I don't think there's Tukumbo. You know Tukumbo? Yeah. You don't. So these are the kind of things. Those who make Rolls Royce, the guy might not even be riding it. And I think their main market is in Africa. Maybe Middle East. Yeah. They don't use it. You'll be shocked if you see the phone that Tim Cook carries might not be the latest iPhone. Yeah. It might not be the latest iPhone that he's using.
And even if he's using the
it's for advert.
Yeah.
It's for advert. His real phone might not be the latest one. So, you see, we need a reorientation. We need a reorientation. We just need to get our arts right. Who are these we? You guys. These millennials. Learn from other people in other cultures how they are doing it.
Okay.
You guys are quiet.
That was like, alright. So I want to understand how it's possible for us to do all of this, especially in a country where it feels like the country is not giving back. And because I feel like patriotism is supposed to be like an agreement, like a contract between you and your country.
Who blinks
and
first?
It's two sides.
Who blinks first? So it's a very tough question. Because I remember when this government started promoting the issue of tax. And who blinks first? That was the question I asked myself. What comes first, the egg or the chicken? So that's how tough it is. That's how tough. If you're asking me to pay tax, I don't trust you. You have not earned my trust. I'm not sure my tax will be used for the right thing. So who blinks first? Give me road. There's no money. You pay tax. So it's a problem. It's a real issue. But I also believe that I can contribute my own quota. That how do we start from where we are? There's something going on that we have been made to believe that there is governance. But the other side of it is not going on. That is informed advocacy. I've said it many times, and it's good to repeat it. It merits a repetition. Nigerians need to learn a culture of protest. A non-violent protest. That people are on the street, right? It doesn't mean, civil disobedience has been adjudged to be one of the very effective ways of having good governance. Nigerians need to learn it. And the reason civil disobedience is not functioning in Nigeria, the reason we don't have the attitude of the culture of protest is because of selfishness, self-love, fear, right?
Yeah.
It got to a point in South Africa during the apartheid regime. This is the phrase: it's better to die, right, honorably than to live shamefully. So people prefer to die. We're not there yet. They're just kind of putting enough oil, in the wheel to keep running. Nigerians are very resilient, but that's not working for us. As long as you have credit on your phone, you believe that's life. Life is not meant to just pay bills. Human beings are created by God to live in abundance. Yeah. It's not just barely getting along. It destroys the psyche. Human beings are supposed to live in that. Even when you are living, maybe in a very tight kind of situation, is only a pathway. Because human beings, we must be able to have enough to be able to even give, to bring others into abundance. Right? So, and that's why I said, on this program once, that wealth is not wealth until it is common. Until it is common. So even if I'm in a kind of a discomfort, right, it is the price I'm paying for comfort. So we need to learn these things, especially millennials. We are addicted to convenience, right? We are addicted to it. We because when people hear this as if I'm calling people to take up arms. No, I'm just saying that we need to come to a point where we know how to make informed demand, ask the right questions about governance. I just got back from Lagos. Lagos is an urban slum. It's a slum. Places that used to be like, the elite areas, it's become slum. I'm talking about the Lekkis of this world. It reminds me of those days in Mushin where they park the things in the gutter, those black stuff, right? And they put it by the side of the road. By the time it rains, it washes it back, they bring it out. It's as if nobody's thinking. Lagos is an urban slum. There's just the nation is comatose. Again, I'm going to problems, but I believe the problems are caused by people, and the solution also can be people. What's missing is what we are discussing on this program today. Lack of civic responsibility, both on the side of the governors, I'm not talking about state governors, those who are in government and those who are being governed. It's a both and. If we are not paddling the boat on both sides, we keep going round in a circle. We have to paddle it on both sides. There is a sense of political illiteracy, especially in Nigeria among millennials. Yeah, about civic illiteracy. Everybody is just on their own. They're just glued to their cell phones. Just looking for something to share. Yeah.
Okay. So, I really wanted to talk about this because, you were talking about loving the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at the fact that as millennials, we actually know little or nothing about our country.
Yeah.
And this is, a function of, I think, our educational system. When you go back to our secondary schools, there's either something, I don't know, it's either it's manipulated or it's hidden.
It's something I've said before. That's a deliberate thing for you not to know. That's why I said once on this, but I think we had an episode years ago when we were talking about this same national anthem. And there's a particular line that I said that the labors of our heroes pass. And I said, may their labors be in vain. Yeah, may their labors, because this is their labor.
Yeah.
Right? This is what they labored to have. That in the year 2019, we have this kind of government. Right? That we have, and then they come up with things like, and this is a government that is so intolerant of criticism. They call it hate speech.
Yeah.
You can't do that, and they are trying something they don't even know about. You want to control social media, it's impossible. If you are going to do that, maybe they should do it for the millennials. And know what happens in places like China, where you can go into some sites where the government controls the internet. Maybe if they do it for us, maybe we generate some bit of reaction. Right? Yeah. Because there are some countries you can't go to YouTube. You are screened out. Yeah. You are screened out. You can't access YouTube. You can't Google. Yeah. Maybe if they do it for us, yeah. But do they even know the technology of doing it?
Disobedience or resistance, I mean.
Yeah, civil disobedience. That's what it means. Yeah. It's a disobedience that is allowed by law.
Yeah. Although our time is almost up, I just want to ask this briefly. You know, like in Plateau State, the governor came out to say that no one is allowed to protest, to come out in any kind of protest.
No, that's not true. That's illegal. He doesn't have that right.
When he came out and said that, every time people try that, one or two people will be shot. You know, I heard someone say that it's only in Nigeria that when you protest, people die. When people do go on peaceful demonstration, people die.
You know, it's because of the lawless environment. Time won't permit me to go into all that, but it's because of the law. But there is a procedure for you if you want to protest. You get a permit from the police. But it's the police. Are they going to give you the permit? So those are the kind of things. But how do we get the police? Right? Because the reality is that within the police, there are people who want to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So how do we get those who want to do the right thing to come into a position of authority and influence? That's the duty. How many millennials have the dream of going to pursue a career in the police?
Okay. Right on time. So we've come to the end of today's episode of Answers with Dr. Reggie. Hope you learned a lot. For me personally, I learned that if I don't do it, it won't be done. And if I don't make my country better, no one else will. Alright, so guys, don't forget to tune in next week for another exciting episode. Thanks for listening.
This is Partridge Radio.
Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on +234 8144 56 9000. Check out our website and interact with us on www.answerswithdrreju.com. Like our Facebook page, Answers with Dr. Reju, or send us an email at answerswithdrreju@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are @Dr. Reju Answers. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Answers with Dr. Reju, where you can get all our episodes. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.